Hello there. Hey everyone, this is the Welcome Map. I'm bringing you guys another video using the Vassal module for Star Wars Imperial Assault. Today we're going to be looking at what was round 4 of the most recent Zion's Finest tournament between me, the Welcome Map, and Mr. Benedict Jules himself. So first let's go over the list here, and then we'll just jump right into it. Ben was running a 9-act IG list, which I originally saw coming out from Europe. Ben is the first American that I've seen running the list. It's an IG-88, Greedo, R2-D2, C-3PO, Hondo, 2 regular Jawas, 1 elite Jawa, and Onar. So you've got 4 big guns, 2 support figures, another kind of decent gun in the elite Jawa, and then even the small Jawas can occasionally get in some decent damage, but they're really great for just giving you another activation, and they roll a white die so they can occasionally dodge. They can surge to harass people and cause a strain, which can be really do some stuff. And they have surge for +2, so they're great at getting objectives. It's a really solid list. There's no upgrades in this list, so you have what you have. But because it's 9 activations, there's very few lists that are going to challenge it for that last activation. I've been running a activation list for the tournament: Onar, Jawa, C-3PO, Gideon, Greedo, Hondo, Sabine, and the elite Clawdite, along with my upgrades: Black Market, Devious Scheme, and Temporary Alliance. I've actually been also playtesting a similar version of this list, but dropping the elite Clawdite to a regular and taking out Devious Scheme and putting in R2-D2 to put me in 9 activations, so I still have Black Market and Temporary Alliance, and everything else about the list is the same character-wise. And I found that the 9 activations is better, and Devious is not as valuable in the current map rotation as I would argue it has been before. There's not a ton of points available, especially on Tarkin in the middle, so it's very easy for your opponent to play passive and hide behind their doors, and so it's harder to take advantage of that beginning of round 2 swing. On Uskru, if they know you're going to have activation, they can keep their figures back as well. And so that can be, that can be tough to take advantage of. Probably the best map for Devious right now is Mos Eisley. It's still pretty strong on Mos Eisley, I would argue. For the swing, like, the deployment zones don't matter as much for that map. The treehouse is a little better on this one, I would argue, for most Scum lists, because you're going to have Greedo. It's not as strong on Lothal at all. Actually, on Lothal, it's actually probably a hindrance. At least in the games I've played it with, I've found it to be less helpful than good. So, anyways, but since we had to stick with the same list, I'm stuck with this 8-act version. I have found more success with the 9-act one. I've been able to beat Spectre Cell a couple times with it, and actually the same 9-act IG list that I'm facing today. So we'll see how the 8-act holds up. But I obviously took the left side, then to the right. We're playing the Rogue AI mission. Set aside 1 blue, 1 green, and 1 yellow neutral mission tokens, and then there's a red one as well. You can see them in the middle of the map here. And the strain token starts here on the red. When a figure enters it, basically they gain 2 victory points. Then the player would randomly set aside the other tokens and flip up a new one. So the objectives on this map are completely random, which can be pretty frustrating. It's probably my least favorite mission of the current maps in rotation, because Lethal is not yet in rotation. I don't really enjoy fluctuations very much. I don't think there's enough VPs from the stashes. If they were two, I think it'd be better and more interesting. But Rogue AI, though, is just so swingy. But that's just my opinion. So let's go ahead and get started here. First, we're going to have Ben deploying because I have Devious. So I know right from the bat this is a great spot for his IG. He knows, looking at my list, that I don't have great range, so he can freely open that door, and his IG can easily step out 2 spaces and threaten either this corridor right here or this upper corridor. So really good positioning here. His 3PO can move to a spot right here where he could be next to R2 and get his cower and be protected and safe. His 3PO is next to Greedo. He wants to focus Greedo. Curious why he kept this Jawa back here. I don't know what the thought there is. I can't really think why you would want to keep the Jawa back there. I'm not really sure. Oh yeah, he did end up putting one Jawa here. This is a great spot for a Jawa to move and then open the door. Oh yeah, he did end up moving it there. Yeah, he was just moving them around. So that was Ben's final deployment. I think I make a mistake pretty early in the game here. Okay, so this was my positioning. We'll go that before we go over my command cards. My thought here was to move Greedo and focus him with Gideon. I wanted to keep Gideon safe, so that's why I kept him up here, because the only figure that's really going to threaten Gideon is IG. And so keeping Gideon back here gives him a lot of options for just staying safe and focusing and moving guys. Well, I say a lot. It's not a lot of options. Pretty much anything here and over. So anything that's on this side I can't see. I'd have to move first. So this is both a pro and a con. I wanted to make him... My thought here was I've never tried putting Gideon there. I just wanted to see how it worked. Normally I put him like over here in this corner spot or something. Just wanted to try something else, see how it worked out. So that's what I did there. My thought with the Jawa here was I could use him to come open this middle door if I needed to, or this one, and he can sit by the terminal. The tough thing for this matchup is if I don't have intelligence leak, and I'll just go ahead and tell you right up front. I was running intelligence leak in my other 3 games, but I decided to drop it for this matchup and try out stall for time, which ends up not really doing much for me anyways. And I drew it later in the game, so you know, it's tough. Like and this is the reason I think I prefer running the regular, is with the regular I feel like I can afford to keep them back and wait for me to get my spy cards, but with the elite, because it offers a 3 die, it just needs to at some point move in to an offensive mode, and then you're risking exposing that figure and not getting the value out of intelligence leak. So it's very interesting. we'll just go ahead and go from there. So my opening hand was primary target, celebration, and heightened reflexes. So a decent hand, but not a great hand for this list because, I mean, as you noticed, I'm not running R2D2 in this version, which, again, I think is a weaker version of the other one I've been running. So we'll go ahead here. So first thing, he just focused Greedo. I focused Onar with 3PO and moved him over here. And we're going to turn off that that noise from the vassal. Let me make sure that my recording's working right. Check 1, 2. Okay. He moved his elite Jawa down. I moved my Jawa. This was another mistake, actually, I think. It wasn't until later in the round that I realized that once he opened his door, his IG was actually in the perfect spot he could move 1, 2 to right here, and then he could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to one of these 2 spots next to my door and still open my door and take a shot. So that Jawa wasn't even guaranteed to survive through round 1. And because I didn't have intel leak, I knew if he had Blaze that I was going to be in trouble. Now, I will say though, about halfway through this round, I realized that he didn't have Blaze because he wasn't activating his R2, which told me that he didn't have Blaze, because I think if he had already had Blaze, he would have gone ahead and just went with R2 anyways, because he already would know that I would probably, no matter what else is in his hand, I'm getting rid of Blaze. If it's between Blaze and On the Lam, I'm getting rid of Blaze of Glory. Now, I could be wrong about that. He may have already had it, but that was my thought, and I kind of noticed him delaying his R2. So he moved his Onar. All he did was move him to that spot right there. Not a bad spot for him. 3PO can focus him up next round. Onar's in a good spot to threaten from either side, depending on which direction I choose to go. So he uses Teeny to move to open the door. Oh yeah, I went with Gideon and moved Greedo, and I actually moved Greedo back to my thought here was that putting Greedo right there allowed Greedo to threaten either this door or this door. So that was the thought there, was like, he doesn't know where I'm going to go with my Greedo. From this spot, I can still open the door and get to the treehouse. So that's why I did that. I moved Onar next to this terminal, which again was, I realized, I think after I activated, well, yeah, I was going to put him there, and then I realized, oh, that's not a good idea. But then I also realized, I think after I went with Onar, I realized that was a big mistake, because if he had Blaze, he could open that door and tear Onar to shreds. So he went with Hondo, moves Hondo in position behind the Jawa. I couldn't decide where to put my Hondo at first, and I ended up putting him next to 3PO. Again, this was probably a mistake. So he went with his Hondo. I guess he went with the other Jawa, the Oot Jawa right here. and he just passed. He wanted him to stay there to block line of sight for IG, or block line of sight to IG, rather. I went with the Clawdite and conspired. Got a good roll here, got 3. This is a really critical moment right now. So I knew that I was going to definitely take a damage with Greedo and a damage with Sabine. And I was trying to decide whether I wanted to take a block with Greedo or put another token on one of these figures. And we'll see how that plays out. But what I ended up doing was giving the other token to Sabine, a block token. Now, I think this was a mistake because typically you want to hold Sabine back early in the game. You want to get Rebel Graffiti if possible and try to get it off a few times. That's the ideal, but I mean, you're not always going to get Graffiti. But either way, she typically is hanging back early on. She's not your front line attacker. And so I think giving Greedo the token was the better call here. Either way. I moved my Clawdite too, and that was it. And immediately after my Clawdite goes, he goes with R2. I went with Sabine. I tried to move her into a spot to where she could threaten this corridor, potentially. But I wanted to keep her safe. Now, as you can see here, I'm playing a little passively. So I really wasn't going to be able to take advantage of my swing. In hindsight, I don't know if maybe the better play would have been to be a little more aggressive, just because. Well, okay, going back again to this list being the disadvantage of having only A activations, his IG is going to go last. So I knew, like, if he has take initiative, because I don't even have negation yet, even if he doesn't have Blaze, he would functionally get off of Blaze of Glory by the end of round, start of round. And then at that point, he's going to draw 2 more cards, and in most likelihood, he probably would be able to activate R2, draw another card, and then still get off another activation with IG before I could kill him, unless I had all of my cards. So, yeah, I felt the pressure of IG and just the threat of IG is really strong on this map because it's so small. He can just get anywhere pretty quick. So I ended up not moving Sabine down there. I think I decided that I wanted to hold her back so I could focus her up and put her in a little safer spot, just depending on what he did. He played his Greedo really aggressive, like really aggressive. He just threw him out there. And so I decided to throw mine out there because I decided if I had initiative, when Greedo attacks Greedo, the first Greedo gets to attack twice. So I figured I had a better shot of taking out his Greedo. So he ends up going with his IG. He actually double moves IG and takes 2 points. Here you can see that variance is already coming to bite me back because it goes to the very top, which I am not threatening at all right now. So his Jawas could easily move out there and get some extra VPs. Now, to be fair, if it had gone to the green, it probably wouldn't have been much different. But if it had gone to that blue, I would have been in a pretty good spot because I could have run out with my Greedo and grabbed it. So it is what it is. He moves his Greedo, and then he goes into the netherworld there, and then he positions him right there so he can threaten either side. So that was the end of the round. I made a mistake at the end of the round here too. I forgot to use Black Market. I was so concentrated on other stuff in the game that I did not use Black Market. Would that have mattered? Honestly, I think this first round, Black Market, using Black Market would have hurt, because I probably would have taken a damage on Hero, on my Jawa. And as you can see, I drew Tools, and then I drew Second Chance. So I've got some pretty decent cards here. I don't think I would have sold Tools. I'm pretty sure I would have. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's what I drew. I forgot what the next card is. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm pretty sure I will regret that. So that ends up being what happens with the end of round. So I move up my Greedo. I moved him up one space because Greedo has a built-in +1 accuracy, and if he's rolling 3 green die, he's guaranteed at least 4. So I figured my odds were that on the green die, it's 50-50 that it's going to hit either a 1 range or a 2 or a 3 range. Three of the sides are 1 range, 2 are 2, and then 1 is a 3. So I figured the odds were that at least 1 would hit more than that, and if worst comes to worst, I would hopefully get a surge to search for accuracy. So that's why I moved him up 1. And there was no reason to keep him back, because his Greedo would have the same like probability as mine, because we're both focused. The only difference is mine has a damage token, which does nothing for the range. So slowing the draw triggers for both Greedos. I didn't play any cards, so you can see I low rolled one of my sides, but I did get that 2 range on one of them, so I made range. Now, if he didn't have any, if he had rolled a blank, this would have been 7 exactly, which would have been just enough to actually. Actually, it would have been 1 extra, because I didn't use my damage token here. I'm not sure why I didn't. So I don't know if this was the right call or not, but what I decided to do was to go ahead and play Heightened, because he didn't play on the Lamb. And the reason, bless you, the reason I did this was, my thought was, well, I don't want him to shoot my Greedo and put damage to my Greedo, and then on my second attack, for him to play on the Lamb, then I've got to hurt Greedo, and he's got a Greedo that hasn't even activated yet. So even though it wasn't a dodge, I went ahead and decided that the best thing to do was just to go ahead and kill his Greedo, so that I was guaranteed that Greedo would be dead. So that's why I made the decision. So he gets his parting shot now. No cards, I believe. He gets actually almost exactly the same roll I did. And you know what here? Oh yeah, so he plays Officer's Training here. Of course I can't negate it. And he rerolls his and you know what here? You know, now looking back on this game, I don't think we realized this, but he didn't have range. I wasn't even looking at the range. He was 1 range short. And he plays Positioning Advantage because I roll an evade, so that would have been exactly 7 damage. Wow, I didn't even catch that till now. That was a misplay. I should have been paying more attention. He was 1 range short, and because I stopped his evade, he wouldn't be able to search for accuracy. So my Greedo should actually not have died here. I should have survived. That was actually really big in this game. So, wow, I'm just flabbergasted that I missed that. So I played Celebration off of it. I'm just going to be frustrated with myself the rest of this game that I didn't catch that when we were playing. So he actually, okay, so he's not able to go through this right here because that's impassable terrain. But it doesn't really matter. Either way, his Jawa can move to the spot and pick it up. So he picks up 2 points there. I went with 3PO and focused Hondo. Whoops. Yeah. He goes with his 3PO and focuses Onar and gets him next to R2. My Gideon focused the Clawdite and moved it up 2. Again, this is probably a mistake because now the Clawdite is a little too close for comfort. I probably shouldn't have moved it. I probably should have kept it back. Well, okay. Oh, that's right. I ended up. That was my initial move, and I ended up changing my mind because my thought became, well, now if he has Blaze, he's got to. Well, maybe he does. If he does, he may not have Blaze. It doesn't really matter. But my thought here was, I'm going to put pressure on his IG because if I open this door, IG's got to decide. He could move, and then get off one shot. But now he's exposed, and I can start shooting at him. So he has to decide if he wants to throw IG all in or if he wants to retreat him. And I think he makes the right move here. So that was Gideon. He moved to open the door. He decides to go with IG and just retreat him to safety. And he retreats him back to where he did at the beginning of the game. So this was unfortunate for me because now I'm not really threatening much at all. Claudia got another really good roll. 3 surges. The elite you want to at least get 2. 3 is a bonus, so I'm typically expecting 2 with the elite. With the regular, I'm definitely hoping for 1. If I get 2, that's nice. And in the rare event that I get 3, it is really nice. So you just have to have the right expectations. Once again, I didn't really have much I could do with the Clawdite here. I do move it up 2, which I think was probably a mistake. I think I should have kept it behind Sabine. Now this was, I don't know. At this point, I was kind of a little bit in trouble here because I realized like if he has Blaze, I'm in trouble. So I moved my Jawa. Opened the door and moved the Jawa. Ben placed planning at this point, which I cannot stop. And he moves that elite Jawa down. That was who he went with. So I go with Sabine here. Instead of... let's see what options I had. I could have... I had to move 3 spaces if I wanted to take a shot. And so it was kind of a situation like, well, I really don't want to expose Sabine. And again, I think maybe one of the mistakes here was I probably should have had my Gideon up earlier. If I'd had Gideon in line of sight, like next to the door, if I'd had him right here, he could have opened the door and moved or focused someone. Like, there's just a lot more options he would have had. Like, I feel like I'm still figuring out how to best use those 2 movement points that he can hand out in round 1. I feel like a lot of times I end up wasting that. Like, if I have to move an R2 to get them to the terminal, that seems like a pretty obvious move for this list, but there's other times where I just feel like I'm wasting that move. So, I don't know. But again, I was experimenting this time. So, what I ended up deciding to do is play passively with Sabine and just move up and throw a grenade at Teeny, and it does too. I'm playing the long game just to take him out later. And I move Sabine back here so that she can be in line of sight of Gideon for that focus in the 2 move later. I think maybe this is when he goes with R2 and he's scomped. Hondo, he literally just moves him. And because I'm not threatening his Hondo, he feels no problem putting there. This is a great spot for Hondo, because from this spot, he can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and move exactly into my deployment zone and get 2 points at the end of the next round. So I knew that was exactly what he was going to do with Hondo. And my thought had been, if I can get ahead in the points race, then I'm not worried about it as much because I don't have to worry about Hondo taking shots at me. Now Hondo is in a spot where he can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could threaten this middle hallway, but without movement cards, he couldn't even threaten down here. So I wasn't super worried about Hondo, but he did have him in enough of a spot where I had to consider it. So I thought that was pretty good positioning. Onar, I just moved Onar to get him ready for the next round. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Let's move this here. There we go. Oh no, forgive me. I moved Onar down to get some points. And it bounced to the red, which is exactly what I wanted that time. I didn't want it bouncing to green or yellow, obviously. I moved up Onar to get him ready for the next round. I'd be able to take a shot at the Jawa. So that was my thought for putting him there. He moves up his Onar, and I did not expect this move. This is his last move at the end of the round. He double moves his Onar next to the terminal, and he's going to get initiative. So I am in a lot of trouble here. I didn't see him. I didn't expect him to play his Onar this aggressively, so that was a great Onar play. So card draw comes, and of course this also stifles my card draw. So did I even gain anything by opening that door? Not really. Honestly, I think opening that door was probably a mistake. I cut myself off from another card. So I had black market prices. That's what I drew. With black market, I drew Rebel Graffiti. I'm pretty sure I took that damage on the Jawa. Yeah. So initiative passes to Ben. He puts second chance onto IG. Oh no, that was my second chance. So I put my second chance onto... Who did I put it on here? Oh, I skipped ahead there a little bit. This thing. Who did I put second chance on? I think I may have put it on Sabine. I thought I had that marked somewhere. I guess I did not. Well, what he ends up doing here is he goes with Onar, and he's going to rush. And then he plays Toxic Dart onto the Clawdite. And so the Clawdite's weakened now. I decided to take the strain as damage because with a focused Onar, and not being next to 3PO or within range of my Onar, I figured my Clawdite did not have a big chance of surviving. He plays Element of Surprise here to guarantee the kill. And he gets a pretty good roll here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he would have been doing 9 damage. So even if I had rolled a 2 block if I had taken the strain as a card, the Clawdite still would have died. I would have had to have rolled a 3 block to survive. So, sorry there. And this was a smart move because he was afraid of me, of course, getting Intelligence Leak and getting rid of his Blaze. And once he got rid of that Clawdite, he was able to not have to worry about that anymore. So again, I think opening that door was a mistake. In hindsight, I can see that now. So his Onar is now exposed, but it doesn't matter. He's taking out my Clawdite. And then he has a pretty sick move here. He plays Shoot the Messenger, which you will see the cards it gets rid of here. On the Lam, Negation, and Opportunistic are about to all be discarded. And, oh man, like... So let's go back again to the missed Black Market play in round 1. If I had played Black Market right, Black Market Prices would have been the card that came up. I probably... I don't know. I think I probably... I don't know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say whether I would have put that on top or sold it. If I hadn't have opened the door, I would have drawn Rebel Graffiti, because I would have had an extra card. And then on the Lamb would have been my Black Market card, which I would have happily paid for. So then Negation would have been on top, Opportunistic, and then the next card that I draw. So yeah, you can see my misplays really coming back to bite me here with my cards that get taken. And at this point, I realize that I'm in trouble. So I go with Hondo and go ahead and shoot Onar. I don't really have any other targets that I don't feel threatened by anyone with my Onar. And so I just wanted to go ahead and put out the damage. Maybe I should have gone with my Onar first, but I wanted him to just stay as a threat. He does not pay. Hondo goes ahead and plays Tools for the Job and takes a shot. Low rolls one of the sides, max rolls everything else. So I'm exactly 2 damage short of taking out Onar. So if I had max rolled that green, it would have done it. Because I end up doing 12 damage overall here. And even with his block from Get Down, Onar had 15 health. So, I mean, now the chances of me max rolling that, it's whatever. But, I mean, I wasn't expecting to kill him. That would have been a really sweet bonus. But you can see there the power of a focused Hondo with the Tools for the Job and a token. Like, goodness gracious. 12 damage against 1 block is pretty awesome. I don't know why. Oh, so what I ended up doing there was I kept Hondo there. I played Black Market Prices, and I ended up deciding that Ben and I were playing a time match, and so I decided here that getting rid of primary target was worth the points because I knew I wouldn't have time to kill IG because we had been kind of playing slow with our positioning. Both of us were really careful with that. And so I got rid of primary target, and I drew Stall for Time and Assassinate. So, like I had said before, if this had been Intelligence Leak like last game, it would have been useless now, which would have been my own fault because I opened the door. So, he ends up going with his Jawa, just getting some free points, because why not? Those Jawas have already made back their points. And the objectives are really killing me. He's already got 6 from doing nothing but going through the thingamabob. My objectives came from Celebration, Black Market Prices, and I think I may have played a Rebel Graffiti at this point. Can't remember how I got the other two. Oh yeah, Onar did go through once, so I did get 2 points from. I think those are the only two I get all game though. So that was my Hondo, and yeah, that's the reason I think I went with Hondo first, was because I had decided, I already knew I was going to use him to shoot Onar in most likelihood. And so I wanted to play Black Market Prices because I wanted other cards in my hand. Who is this shooting now? So now my Onar moves up and takes a shot on the Jawa. I really struggled with this, but I went ahead and did it. I'd struggled with, do I want to rush this one, but then I don't have a shot on anything, and then he becomes more exposed to Hondo or IG potentially. But if I attacked this Jawa, he could have on the lamb. So I went in and took the risk. I rolled an insane max roll right here, and way overkilled that Jawa. Then I ended up moving Onar and hiding him. My thought putting him here was IG's not getting to him for 2 attacks unless he's got Blaze. Again, because I moved in Onar aggressively, I think I made another mistake here by putting Second Chance on Sabine. I believe I had it on Sabine instead of Onar. So he ends up going with the Jawa, getting another 2 free points. And unfortunately, it moves again to the top, which is exactly what I didn't want, because now I know that his Hondo can just pass through it and get another 2 free points. So at this point, I feel pretty on the edge. I know that there's 4 points for him already waiting there, and 2 more than I'm going to lose. So I'm basically 8 points behind right now. So I moved up with my Jawa. I decided to just try to finish off Onar, because I knew he'd already used Get Down, and with the Jawa's surge for +2, it was a guaranteed kill. What I was hoping for, though, was to roll 2 surges. That way I could surge for bargain. That was just a joke roll. So that ended up finishing off Onar. His 3PO moves up and opens the door. My 3PO moved up and focused Sabine. His R2 just moves up. And Sabine, what did I... Oh, that was Gideon. Gideon moved up Sabine. And I guess that's all I did with Gideon. Yeah. Forgive me, guys. This game was a few days ago, so I don't remember everything exactly. So then he goes with IG, and unfortunately, he does have a movement card. He has urgency. Crazy thing is here, you'll notice he's only played 0-cost cards the whole game so far. And he's just dominating with his board state, his positioning. So he does move up his IG to take shots on mine. Doesn't really get a great roll here, but I use my Get Down to get rid of 1. If you play on Vassal, if you didn't know, one of the recent updates allows you to use Control A to play Get Down, and then if you push this black button up here in the round, it gets rid of the little circles that you can see here, this little red circle that shows you that figure has already used their special ability for the round. So he moves up, gets him 1 attack. I really wish I had a movement card here for Sabine, but I was not running urgency in this list. I've been thinking more about it lately, and I don't think urgency is an auto include in every list, but I do think Sabine really needs it. So I've been thinking more about. I've just been having so many situations where, because you want to keep Sabine back and safe, you often need that little bit of extra movement. So I've been thinking about trying that out. I really like opportunistic in most mercenary lists over fleet-footed. So I ended up just throwing a grenade here. I was hoping to finish off the Jawa, which I did do. And then I moved up and I decided that it would be better to take a shot on 3PO. The variance here is with 3PO, I knew that it's a range attack that I could miss, because with a focus, Sabine's only guaranteed to do 5 range. And this 3PO is at 6 range. But R2 has a 1 in 3 chance of dodging. I've already played my heightened reflexes, so I can't remove the normal dodge. And I don't have element of surprise. So I figured 3PO was the more likely target. Unfortunately, he dodges. So I did roll the range, so it would have been a kill. If he'd rolled anything but a dodge here, he would have died. So 3PO survives. Start of round. Why did negation come out here? Oh, I think I did try to... Did I try to play element of surprise there? Oh, okay. I tried to play Rebel Graffiti, and then he negated it. So, so no bonus points there, which that is pretty big as well, because this was a tight game. So every 2 points really mattered. And then Blaze of Glory comes out. I was pretty sure he had it at this point. He plays the tools. He low rolls here on one of his red, so he doesn't kill Onar with the first attack. But with the second attack, he does finish off Onar. And then again, if I had had second chance there, Onar would have lived through that round. So I misplayed just a number of misplays in this game on my part. I've definitely learned with Onar that if you're going to run him in, he's probably your guy to second chance. Yeah, most definitely. So he does what I expect him to do with Hondo. He just double moves him. And this is where we just called the game, because, well, we didn't call it. This was time got called. So, so that was the end of the game. Time was over. That was the end of the round. Well played by Ben. As you can see, a couple of big misplays by me there. I should have checked the accuracy there for Greedo. That was a really big play, because I had a Greedo with a damage token, and I had primary target. I still had tools at that point, so I easily would have gotten more value out of Greedo. I could have moved him to get more strain tokens potentially. So much more I could have done with Greedo there. So that's really unfortunate. There's a lesson for the day, kids. Make sure you're checking accuracy. Second chance, forgetting Black Market. I don't think forgetting Black Market was as consequential, but there were some misplays related to that. Opening my door with the Jawa when all it did was allow him to threaten my figures. I really should have paid attention to Onar there and seen what he could do with the end of round swing. So yeah, I definitely think this was a winnable game. I think my mistakes put it out of reach, and Ben played exactly how he should play to secure the win. So again, I do think though that the list, like if I had had a regular claw and R2, you can imagine how different would this game have been? I would have drawn black market prices in well, I would have drawn second chance at the end of during round 1. Then at the end of round 1, I would have drawn tools for the job and black market. And then I would have gotten rebel graffiti, and then with my thing, and then I would have drawn on the lamb with R2 in the next round. So yeah, if there's any proof the value of R2, here's a great game that's a great example of how different this game would have been if I had had R2. Other thing to say though, well, I mean, the thing about R2 is he is afraid of Spectre Cell on Lothal. So if Lothal does go into rotation, I think R2 should be a little scared of that. Is there anything Ben should have done differently in this game? Well, I liked the IG play. I think he played his IG right. He held him back to the right time. I think he played against one of the weaknesses of my list here, which is it's more of a medium range list. Like, it doesn't have long range potential like Alliance Rangers. If you'd had Rangers, you can snipe that Jawa pretty easily in one shot, and then after that his IG is in trouble. So I really want to continue to test out my 9-act version of this list, and I'm also really curious to try Rangers and Scum. We all know that Han is a threat, but I think it would be interesting to pair them with Hondo, Onar, and Greedo. That way you aren't having to put so much bank into your Rangers if they do fall, but they're still a huge threat. Of course, they do lose Hera, but I don't think they need Hera though. Like, you can still you still have your rerolls, and I mean, you lose the little bit of accuracy boost and the damage and the surge occasionally, but I think overall you gain more firepower. I mean, what's better, Hondo, Greedo, and Onar, or Han? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I'm really curious to try out the list and see how it goes. But again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I'll have another episode up for you guys again soon. I already have one recorded that I just need to do the audio for. This has been the Welcome Mat, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.